I'm Lizzie Harrison for Card Player TV, here with the most recent World Series of Poker Gold Bracelet winner. We have David Wu in the Card Player TV studio. Congratulations, you made it through a huge field.
Thank you.
So you won a $1,500 buy-in no limit event, which as we know has more than 3,000 players in it. What's it like when you start off in a tournament like that? Like, what's going through your mind? Does it even seem conceivable that you can make it through thousands of players?
Yeah, you know, when you think about the numbers, it's kind of like hard to fathom that you're going to,
right,
actually do something. But, this year, I had, higher hopes because I'd made a final table of the same event last year. I made
so you'd already made it through. You knew it was possible to make it through the big
definitely
fields.
made it possible. Last year, I go into the final table second in chips, and I finished fifth, and it was just like such a disappointment. You know, a lot of people, if they make the money or whatever, are happy, but like last year, same thing that with this field. The $1,500 events usually draw just every player from the weekend amateur.
They've got everybody.
Right, and so at my final table last year, there were like no pros, nobody.
That's common in the events, right?
Right, and so I thought that I was going to go in there and win it, just outright. But when we get in there, it's just like a shove fest, and so it's like it was
blinds
just like
are pretty high.
Right. And this year, the crew or whoever, adjusted the blinds and the structure did a real good job, because now, when you get to the final table, there's actually
there was room to play.
Yeah, and so this year I felt even better. I went in this year's final fourth in chips, and as it turns out, I won it.
Yeah. So looking back on last year's final table, do you see any errors you made, or what do you think of your play?
Last year's final, no. I don't remember of any error.
Okay.
Like
I was wondering if you were like,
just,
wow, I really screwed that up, or
no,
it was just a
absolutely,
fest?
yeah, it was absolutely no play, and the guy lowest in chips ends up winning the whole thing. So it was just kind of a joke, and I was like a little taken aback by that as far as like poker and poker tournaments, you know. But like I said, sometimes it's going to be like that, but I think they've corrected the problem, so it's good.
That works. So this year you went into the final table fourth in chips. How did you ascend up to first and take the bracelet?
Before the day ended to go to the nine-handed, I was actually the chip leader for the last 2 or 3 hours.
Oh, really?
2 or 3 levels.
So you were dominating.
Right. I was, and then I lose a lot of chips. Somebody raises my big blind. I've got King 3, and I think he's making a move, and so I re-raise, and turns out he has aces, and so I lose about half my stack like right before the day ends.
That's very discouraging.
Yeah, and then I end up busting out the last guy for us to go to nine-handed, and so I get back
some chips back.
Yeah, I get back to 1.1. And that's a comfortable, chip amount.
Especially with the blinds being better and everything.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about the final table. Was there a pivotal point where you really were on the road to victory?
Well, going into today, like I said, if you go to a final table, and I've seen, a couple of the final tables this year. In fact, a friend of mine, David Ream, makes a final table, and he's in there with, Eric Lindgren and, Roland DeWolf and just like 5 top pros, You go into a final table like that, you can't expect to win, But like this final table.
True, it makes sense.
Right, you just hope to win, and
things can go your way, but you can't obviously think you have such an edge. Right,
this field right here, I think I have a huge edge, and it's like kind of like crazy for me to say that. It's kind of like whatever, bragging or whatever, but I play with good players, and I played with not so good players, and I can kind of distinguish pretty easy. And I didn't think yesterday's final table was a real tough field, and so I had every intention of winning it.
We'll forgive you. You haven't gotten any sleep yet, right?
Yeah, I get kind of mouthy when I don't sleep.
It's okay. So tell me, what style of play is conducive to success in these types of tournaments? You seem to have gotten it down.
Yeah. My friends, good poker players themselves, they call me the Donk Destroyer, because they think that I play, bad players as well as anybody, even.
And it's hard to do.
Yeah, well, and I attribute my success to all the donks that I've played in my poker career, and so if anybody's watching that's played with me, that might be one of you guys, but I go into it like this, you go into that tournament and you don't start with that many chips.
Right.
So the early part of the tournament is the absolute most critical part of the tournament. So
you have to accumulate chips?
Well, no, I don't think it's that. It's, you got to survive enough to not be forced to like shove,
Okay.
shove, you know. And so yeah, you accumulate chips, but you don't have to accumulate a
huge
ton of
stack,
chips, right?
just
And
stay
so
alive.
after that, you know, you go through, like I say, you know, if you break it into thirds,
Okay.
if you get past the first third and you have some chips, now you can play poker. And like I said, against these not so great players, you know, I try to keep every pot as small as possible. I never want to flip. I never want to get all my chips in and race, you know, because you just feel like if you see a flop, turn, and river at some point during the hand, you can, you know, put them on a hand. You can, you know, fold. You know,
Right.
you can, you know, get equity from all your bets. So, you know, against tougher players, you don't have that big of an edge. So you've got to, you know, be pushing pots. But you know, in this field, you know, if anybody's trying to listen to my advice, I'd recommend, you know, just trying to keep pots as small as possible and go from there.
You mentioned that your friends call you the Donk Destroyer, but I also heard that Josh Aria nicknamed you the Magnificent. Where'd that come from?
Well, that was my quote-unquote original nickname. It's from a prop bet. Me and Josh used to play a lot of poker in home games in Atlanta.
Oh, that's true. He is from the area. I
Right.
didn't think
yeah.
about that.
So we've been friends a while, and you know, he had success early. You know, while
Right.
we were just playing like limit hold'em back then, as it was. But you know, we playing poker. You know how prop bets get made, and well, the bet was that I had to hit 70 3-pointers out of 100. You know, and some
Wow.
guy bet us, you know, a pretty large amount of money.
Are you good at basketball?
Well, you know, I was always an athlete growing up, you know, and I can shoot the ball.
How tall are you?
5'6".
5'6", okay.
Yeah, I used to be able to grab the rim and hang on. So,
That's impressive.
you know, yeah, like I love sports, and I've, you know, before cards, and you know, I'm, you know, past my prime, and so I played cards to, you know, get out my competitive
spirit.
edge, right? So, yeah, he what it was is, you know, we go in there and shoot 70 out of 100, beat this guy out of like, you know, 30, you know, 5,000 plus.
Wow.
And he just says, you know, you're the Magnificent Wu from now on.
Well, congratulations on your bracelet win, and I'm sure I'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Lizzie Harrison with David Wu for Card Player TV.